Hi there! If you're using modern tech, sooner or later you're going to hear about Displayport. Maybe it's a new monitor you're eyeing, a graphic card spec that grabs your attention, or even a cable you're considering picking up. Either way, it's one of those standards that quietly promises better performance. Today, I break down why Displayport often beats HDMI and when it doesn't. So why consider Displayport? Well, it has some real advantages. DisplayPort offers higher bandwidth than HDMI in most versions, enabling high resolutions and faster refresh rates, up to 4K in 240Hz or even 8K on DP2.1a standard. It natively supports adaptive sync technologies like FreeSync and G-Sync, compatible for smoother gaming. DisplayPort also allows multi-monitor setups through MST, daisy chaining, though this is mainly useful for productivity rather than high refresh gaming. A higher refresh rate does not increase FPS, but it allows the display to show more the frames that the GPU produces. In other words, the GPU generates the frames, and the monitor refresh rate determines how many of them you can actually see. To fully take advantage of high refresh rates and resolutions, you also need a suitable cable standard such as DisplayPort or HDMI 2.1. Cable quality and length affect the ability to transmit high refresh rates and resolutions reliable, mainly due to signal-to-noise ratio (SNR). Shorter high-quality cables maintain a strong signal with minimal interference, while longer and low-quality cables may suffer from signal degradation, flickering, or reduced refresh rates. For example, DisplayPort cables typically work well up to 2 meters for 4K at 144 Hz, while HDMI 2.1 cables can handle up to around 3 meters for the same resolution and refresh rate, though longer cables may require higher quality shielding to maintain signal integrity. If necessary, you can use other technology to extend the signal transmission. HDMI 2.2 was officially released in June 2025, introducing a significant increase in bandwidth to 96 gigabit per second, enabling support for resolutions up to 16K and high frame rates. However, widespread adaptation is expected to take time, with initial devices anticipated to appear in late 2025 or early 2026. Similarly, DisplayPort 2.1b, released in spring 2025, will introduce new active cables supporting up to 80 gigabit per second over longer distances. But like HDMI 2.2, it will require time for manufacturers to implement and for compatible devices to become available. HDMI requires licenses and fees, making it more expensive for manufacturers, but it's essential in the TV and console world where it's a standard. DisplayPort is royalty-free through VESA, which makes it more attractive in the PC and professional space, where higher bandwidth often arrives first. That's why we usually see both ports, HDMI for compatibility and DisplayPort for performance. DisplayPort is backward compatible, so newer versions typically work with older ones, but only at the maximum capabilities of the least advanced device or cable. Thunderbolt also builds on DisplayPort technology, meaning Thunderbolt computers can connect directly to DisplayPort monitors with a standard DisplayPort cable, which has accelerated DisplayPort adoption in high-end computing and video production. Additionally, passive adapters allow interoperability with HDMI, DVI, and VGI, though supported features may vary. An adapter can act as a bridge between two standards, letting you connect devices that wouldn't normally talk to each other. DisplayPort to HDMI works easily because many DP ports support dual mode DP++, sending a native HDMI signal through a passive adapter. But for higher resolutions or refresh rates, an active DP to HDMI adapter with conversion electronics is needed. Going the other way, HDMI to DisplayPort always requires an active adapter, since HDMI cannot natively output a DP signal, and these adapters contain circuitry that converts the electrical protocol, sometimes needing extra USB power. While not always optimal for quality or performance, an adapter can still save the day when you just need your presentation to work. The design and quality of connectors and cables play a crucial role in maintaining signal integrity and achieving the full performance of high resolution, high refresh rate displays. Many DisplayPort connectors have built-in latches, so they stay securely in place. But here's the catch: when it comes to compatibility, HDMI still rules. Almost every TV, projector, and sound system out there uses HDMI. It also handles advanced audio formats, like Dolby Atmos and DDEX with ease. So if you're connecting to a home theater setup or a console, HDMI is still a safer bet. DisplayPort also supports digital audio alongside video on all modern standards, from stereo to multi-channel setups. However, it's not as widely used for consumer entertainment, and it's typically favored for PC monitors and high-refresh gaming setups. So in short, DisplayPort shines for PC setups, high-refresh gaming, and professional monitors. But HDMI dominates in universal compatibility. As a tech person, you'll probably end up weighing both, because each has its place, and knowing when to use which is part of the craft. And one more important note: don't confuse DisplayPort with other connectors and cables. For example, DisplayPort operates at 3.3 volts, while USB carries 5 volts. Mixing them can damage your devices, so always double check the ports before plugging anything in. And of course, the damage is also physical in plastic and metal if you force a connector into the wrong place. It's easy to accidentally try to connect a USB cable to a DisplayPort, especially in the dark. You feel like it won't fit, and touching the live pins can cause damage. If you're unsure, turn off your computer and check the port before connecting. One easy way to handle this is to put electrical tape over the ports you're not using. Now you've seen what I think is useful to know about DisplayPort compared to HDMI. Though technology is always evolving. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe for more tech tips, and have a great time. See you soon. Bye bye.